Hey everybody, welcome back to Suck Less Saturday. I am Neil. Hey, do you ever think about getting your shots on target quickly, but not with a holster involved? Let's talk about that a little bit.
You need a shot timer because that which gets measured gets worked on. The Range Tech Timer is the official timer of active self-protection because it is versatile, reliable, feature-rich, and very economical. Check out all it can do at the link below.
All right, folks. Hey, I want to introduce you to one of my favorite people on the planet. And I say that a lot about a lot of people. I've got a lot of favorite people, and luckily they come do this with me. Guys, this is Paul Carlson from Safety Solutions Academy.
Hey folks, how you doing?
I'm telling you, for more than reasons than just shooting and stuff, this is an actual friend of mine. I'm telling you, man, I love you. So
I love you too,
just
man.
so you
It's
know,
good to see you.
I know we're here in sunny Cleveland. We made
Finally.
a video earlier today and it was cold, but I asked Paul to come out and do one of these videos with me. And Paul, talk a little bit about who you are and why people should listen to you.
Oh man, I'm not sure that there's any reason anybody should listen to me. I'm from Safety Solutions Academy. Grew up as a teacher. Everything I loved, I ended up teaching. Spent about 15 years teaching math in middle school. When my kids were born, I stepped away from teaching to take care of my kids, and I started teaching guns full time. So I've been teaching guns for 21 years now at this point in time, and it's been a long and fun ride, and I've learned a lot along the way.
Wow. Yeah. Paul, you've had a podcast.
Yeah.
Now, not real active with the podcast lately, I don't think.
No, it's been about 2 years.
Yeah, it's been
maybe,
a while.
maybe even 3.
But I'm telling you, a couple of years ago when we were just kind of becoming friends and we'd met a few times at some different shows and that, I was driving through a blizzard with my son Cody, who you're good friends with as well. And I had your podcast on the radio, and Cody, before he even knew you, was like, I really like this guy.
Well, I really like Cody too.
Yeah, so just
That's awesome.
You're just, everything about you is very likable. So I really appreciate you doing this
Thank
with
you.
me.
Yeah.
Paul also comes and helps out at our national conference in Kansas. We'll be there again this year, last weekend in September. We help out the camp down there.
Can't wait.
But this is about sucking less, and Paul is a high-end shooter and a great trainer, and people come from all over the creation to listen to this guy talk. So let's not listen to me, let's listen to you. Talk about getting shots on target, but without the holster involved.
Yeah, so there are so many times when we are involved in some kind of a situation or could be involved in a situation where we may have a gun in our hand and we may need to move and get shots on target. And if we don't have the tools to be able to do that responsibly, we're gonna end up pointing guns at people that don't need guns pointed at them. So I wanna just introduce some positions that I think you should be working both in dry fire and at the range to make sure that you're ready to get those sights on target when you need to get those hits. And I've asked Neil to be my demonstrator here today. So, at this point in time, if Neil were involved in some kind of a situation and the target were off in this direction, he could simply move in that direction, draw his gun whenever, and shoot. If he's made a surreptitious draw, if he's got his gun in his hand, and all of a sudden there are friendly people that don't need to get shot that are in the way, he no longer has the ability to make the shot until he does something. So those are the skills I want you to have in your collection of skills so that you can use them when you need to. So Neil, let's start out with a pretty simple and straightforward carry position. So a carry position, a position I can move safely with the gun, responsibly with the gun around other people, and it's called holster index. So why don't you go ahead, draw your gun and come to a ready position. I'm gonna walk you into that holster.
I'm gonna clear this for the internet.
Fabulous.
That's an empty gun. See through
If
it.
you don't mind, I'd like to take a look as well, just to double check.
Absolutely.
All right, sir, you are good to go.
Okay.
All right, so holster index is simply going to be the gun with as full of a firing grip as you can get, and you're going to hook your thumb on your belt at 3 o'clock. I know that a lot of us carry an appendix position, and that's where our holster is, but this position allows us to get the muzzle straight up and down. We can move very quickly, and we can move 360 degrees. Look, I can walk all the way around Neil, and he's not pointing the gun at me. That's what it is that I'm after with these carry positions. Neil can move very quickly and he can come on target. So if I were to give Neil a shooting command, he would simply come to a compressed ready position, drive out to the target, pick up the dot, and make the shot. So let's do that dry right now, Neil.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Up. It's really no different than a strong hand draw stroke. Let's hit that again. You ready?
Okay, yep.
And up. Pretty straightforward. If you have the ability to draw from a holster, you have the ability to work from holster index. Very simple position for carry of the gun responsibly that people don't think about. Let's hit another one.
Okay.
People have heard this before. They probably heard it called Sewell. We're simply going to take the gun and we're going to put it on our chest with the muzzle vertical straight up and down. Sul, Portuguese for south, as I've heard it called.
So am I taking the full grip back here?
Yeah, if you can keep that full grip, that'd be great. And what we want to do is, in fact, Neil, why don't you drive out onto the target?
Okay.
If we bring the gun back into the compressed position, we can break this grip apart and set up just like that. We want this gun to be straight up and down vertical. And so Neil's got that tactical shelf right here, right?
Thank you.
He might have to bump out with his handle. We don't want to point the gun at ourselves.
Right.
We're the solution to the problem. If we shoot ourselves, we no longer are the solution. We are now part of the problem, right?
Part of the problem, yep.
Here we are in this position. He can move. Again, I can walk 360 degrees around Neil. Neil can move around me, no problem whatsoever. Now, to shoot from this position, we simply build that grip as we hit the compressed ready position and break the shot.
Okay.
Up. Pretty straightforward.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, all of these positions are gonna be much quicker than coming from the holster, actually,
Yep.
right? Because we don't have to grip the gun, we've already got it grasped. So again, one of the keys is straight up and down, which
Okay,
can be
so
a
I've
little bit
got it, yeah.
uncomfortable. Yeah,
Well,
I know. We get
having
that.
never done that before, yeah, that feels
Yeah.
weird, but there I'm pointing out in front, so if I started walking around, I wouldn't be muzzling it.
You'd flag the
Yep.
legs of the people around you, and more importantly, what if you have little people around?
Yeah.
You're not flagging their legs, and we're gonna
Yep.
talk about that in just a moment. So
Okay.
let's break one more, Neil. Up. Very nice. Just like working through the last part of our draw. All right, this next position I want to talk about is a little bit of a controversial one. This one is called temple index. It might also be called a high carry. What we're going to do with this is we're going to use the flesh on the side of our hand, this meaty part of our thumb. We've got a grip on the gun, and we're going to hook our ear or our hearing protection with that gun. Muzzle's going to be pointed straight up. And people might say, well, why in the world would you want to point a gun straight up in the air? Well, I mentioned little people, right?
Yep.
Imagine if you've got a 2 or a 3-year-old and you put the gun in this position and you need to walk past that child. What if you have someone injured on the ground? You're gonna be pointing a gun at somebody that doesn't need to have a gun pointed at them. And so temple index is a great tool for us. What if you get out of the back of your Uber? You had to shoot from the back seat of your Uber. Do you wanna point the gun at the driver? No.
Nope.
You may need to hit a temple index. So I'm gonna step over here, Neil. Let's go ahead and drive that gun up to the temple index. We're gonna use the meat on the side of your hand,
So right
hook
here?
it on the ear. What we want here, folks, is again, we want this muzzle vertical, straight up and down. And that's exactly what Neil's got. Again, we can walk 360 degrees. This gun isn't pointing at me, and even if I was a little person, it wouldn't be pointing at me then. This is what we want. Now, when we go on target here, Neil, we're gonna move through one of our ready positions, which is the high ready. You'll just be muzzle up right here, so you'll come down from that temple index, muzzle up, and drive out onto the target and break that shot. You ready? Up. He builds the grip and drives out. Pretty easy to come from that position. Let's run it again.
Yep.
Up. Very good. That high ready, let's come right here with that high ready. It's really,
Right to here?
It's really just like a compressed ready, just our muzzle is up, right? We're not gonna rotate it all the way down because we don't need to, and we'll drive out from there. One more time.
Okay. So from here
Yep.
to here.
You got it. Exactly.
Oh yeah. Well, and with that muzzle prod like that, that's the whole muzzle prod that lets your dot drop in as well. When you,
Right?
When you
We just give that pinky pressure as driving forward, and that dot drops right in place.
Yep.
So all of those positions can work for us if we need to move after we already have our gun in our hand, and we need to do so responsibly.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm gonna holster up here. Okay. All right, so thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
So for this week in our dry fire, unload your gun and then check your gun again, and then put your barrel block in,
Yep.
and then take all your ammo out of the room, and then work on these things and work on the 3 different positions. The hooking the belt right there, I mean, we talk about this all of the time in the self-defense world, and we spend a lot of times on ranges like this, standing here and drawing, and you know, he who gets shots into the meaty bits, all that stuff. But you know, if something goes down in our world today, there is the chance that you're going to have the gun in your hand, and you ought to be able to practice that.
Well, what
This
happens?
is great.
What happens when the shots start to break? What does everybody do?
Yeah, all the guns are out.
All the guns are out and everybody starts to move.
Yep.
And that means all the people that need to get shot and all the people that don't need to get shot.
Well-
so our situation might change very quickly, and we have to have a tool to be able to get ourselves in position to responsibly make that shot.
Yep. So we watched a little video this week in our conference that we do before we do classes like this of you know, Jack Wilson with the White Settlement shooting down there, and Jack did an amazing job,
Yes.
right? And stopped a tragedy happened, but he made
Yes.
it. He minimized it, right?
Yes.
But then if you watch the rest of the video, like 5 or 6 more guns come out,
Yes.
and everybody's pointing guns at everybody.
And thank goodness nothing happened.
And yeah, and we're very fortunate that nothing happened. All the rest of the good guys survived.
Yeah.
They stopped the threat and everything. But being able to, in that kind of a setting, I think that Temple Index would have been good because there were people on the ground.
Absolutely.
There were people running around. There's little kids everywhere, and having that option. And I know that Temple Index is something that is a little bit controversial.
It is.
But if you contextualize it, it makes sense.
That's the key with all of it, is the context.
Yep, and that's the key with pretty much all of our training, right? People will say, why do you do that? And then you're like, well, here's 3 scenarios where it might work. Now, here's 3 scenarios where it might not.
Exactly.
That's why we do multiple things. That's why there's 3 different things. So, folks, in your dry fire this week, spend 10 minutes on these, maybe 2 minutes on each, and then do your regular dry fire. Spend a little bit of time working on that. Get a feel for what that comes. Get a feel for pointing that thing straight down. And if you're tactical, would you rub my belly again?
Oh, absolutely. It's
Thank
this
you.
Right here.
So if you've got that tactical belly like I do, you got to make that fist. But then you had to remind me a couple of times because it doesn't feel normal if you've never done
Absolutely.
it. This is why we practice this stuff.
And it's why we get the phone out and video ourselves. It's why we use mirrors. All of these things can help us build the proper mental image of what we should be doing.
Yeah, awesome. Well, man, Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I am so glad that we got to see
so
you.
glad.
We're gonna go hang out and have some dinner now.
Sounds good.
And all of that fun stuff. But you guys get your work in, suck a little bit less. Come to the conference and hang out with this guy.
I would love it.
Trust me, it's worth it.